Good evening, guys. Welcome back to my channel. This is Coach DC from All 22 Films. Going to go over some Rylie Mills film from the Week 1 loss to the Dallas Cowboys. I got 6 plays queued up for you. I think Mills played 22 snaps, only credited with 1 tackle. This is why I enjoy being able to take a look at the film and examine it and then try to present you guys information. And, you can agree, disagree. I feel like Mills was very disruptive on a handful of these plays. I picked out 6 of them, one of which is a pass rush loss. This is not. This is early in the game. In fact, this is on the first possession, and he's playing 3 technique on the left-hand side of the defense. It's the base nickel platform for Seattle. Nickel DB has walked into the box, creating this kind of pseudo 4-3 look from a nickel personnel platform, and Mills is taking on the right guard on a split zone concept, running back downhill. It's Jaden Blue. He ends up kind of turned perpendicular to the line of scrimmage, somewhat abnormal, but in any case, he's able to. His patented move is to swim off of people. He uses it with his right arm, his left arm. This is, I guess, the only tackle he's credited with. He's involved in a couple of other plays. Extremely strong. Obviously, his coming out party in terms of national knowledge of his skills and talent was in the Super Bowl when he had a sack, essentially forced the offensive lineman for the Patriots back into Drake May's lap. This is the culmination of the first drive for the Cowboys. Of course, the second possession was a really long one that ended in a field goal. I'll show you a handful of plays from there. So 3rd and 9. There's an overload off the right-hand side of the Seahawks defense, the left-hand portion of our screen. 57, Rylie Mills. 51, which I believe is Jaden Ivey, all lined up on one side with the Mike in additional setup to possibly be an A-gap blitzer. So really they're trying to isolate people off the left-hand side of the Cowboys offense in terms of their offensive line. It's a great play from Tyrese McKnight. You get an idea of what Mills is looking to do so often in pass pro situations, at least in this game, and that's swim. Here he's trying to extend with the right arm first. We're talking about right now, and then use that arm while pulling with the other, presumably pulling with the other arm in some form or fashion, in some location on the right-hand side of the offensive lineman's body to break his posture, swim over the top. Offensive lineman may have been a little bit fortunate here. He got some help from the center peeling back to him, but it's obviously not a win. I like to show good and bad, or actually those are poor choice of words, effective and ineffective instances or examples of snaps out on the field, particularly in the preseason. In taking a real close look at the Mills film, again, it was only 22 snaps from this game. I would expect him to be around that number, to be honest with you, in a given week. I don't think that Rylie Mills at this point in time in this defense is a 40 snap per game guy because of the talent that's there along the defensive line. But what I will say is this: I feel like he's best suited to attack at particular angles, be it straight downhill or maybe 30, 40 degree angles, attacking particular offensive linemen depending on the scheme. This is going to be a defensive pass interference on John Charles, 3rd and 7. In the second possession. Get an idea here of what Seattle is looking to do so often, and that's create pressure from a 4-man rush, or not organically, strategically. And in this case, it's Jaden Ivey lined up as a defensive tackle. Really, he's outside shade of the right tackle, but he's going to slam all the way down and set a pick. And then Mills is going to engage and loop around it. It doesn't exactly happen in that location. Of course, the offensive line and the point of attack moves, but you can see Ivy slamming into the center, Mills looping around. The first time I saw this, I thought the steps were kind of short and didn't really gain enough ground, but watching it now, you can see he's attacking the quarterback. He just pulls up late. In addition, he pulls up at the correct time, In addition, you've got a win here off the left side. I believe this is O'Toole. Both of those guys combined, maybe they're not credited with a quarterback hit. They're certainly there in time to be considered a pressure. Everything looks good here in the screen on the top left, right? It's the pass interference occurred before this. It was in coverage, before the camera panned to this angle. From a Rylie Mills standpoint, he fits into this defense with what Mike Macdonald and the defensive line coaches want to do, and that's attack with 4 in a strategic manner. Sometimes it's picks, sometimes it's stunts, sometimes you're the beneficiary. In this case, Rylie Mills is. Jaden Ivey is the guy who's, quote, setting the pick or the screen. The guard here has stepped down, and his momentum is going to take him too far to be able to redirect. In fact, he's got no awareness whatsoever that Mills is looping all the way around. Could have been, in the old days, obviously would have been a huge hit on the quarterback. Unusual execution or lack thereof by the Cowboys offensive line. I felt like they were sluggish at times in terms of their footwork and getting out of there, number one. And number two, didn't seem well coordinated with the fronts and the stunts that they were getting from Seattle. We're still on the second possession. Rylie Mills is spot shadowed there in red and black. And he's going to be, supposed to be, getting trapped. So the scheme looks like this, whereby the right guard, illustrated by that orange line, is going to pull and kick out Rylie Mills, or that's what he's assigned to do. The center, illustrated by that yellow line, is going to back block on the other defensive tackle. Left guard going to go all the way back to the backside inside linebacker, illustrated by this green line here. The tackle, a lot of options. You can sometimes have the tackle pass set to elicit a rush from that edge defender, and then run the trap on Rylie Mills as displayed here. Trigg, in addition, the tight end on the left side, illustrated by that blue line, he's supposed to go get Tyrese Knight, who played a whale of a football game. I did a full-length film study on Tyrese Knight. I think I had 9 plays included. He played 26 snaps, had 10 tackles, including 7 solos. I'm not sure what the tackle's supposed to be doing because he really does nothing other than get his ass kicked. Rylie Mills just knocks him back. So essentially, he takes up 2 blockers in one. In addition, they don't get Tyrese Knight blocked at all, so Knight is totally unblocked, clean to get to the football. Cowboys offensive line really struggled at certain points. I'm not talking about the entirety of the game, but in this case, Jaden Blue running a trap concept, downhill concept, and they're trying to get Rylie Mills kicked out of there, in addition to that, get Tyrese Knight blocked. They accomplished neither. All right, we're still on that same possession, the second drive. Again, you guys know as Seahawks fans, it was a really long possession for Dallas that culminates in a field goal. And I think I will show the final play, or perhaps the second to last play of it. In this case, it's a 3rd and 8. And, I don't know if Rylie Mills was a swim move guy in college at Notre Dame. I suspect that whoever's teaching the swim move reactions in Seattle, it does a fantastic job of it. This is a swim move, ends up in a quarterback hit. Maybe it's a little late, or it's obviously late in terms of the delivery of the football. The ball is out. It's going to be complete to Mingo off the left-hand side. Against the Tampa, I believe it's against the Tampa 2. Tyrese Knight gets the tackle, one of, like I said, 10 on the day. In terms of Rylie Mills, like the best swim move guy, Byron Murphy's spectacular at it as well, but the best guy on this team, really, that I've seen in a long time is Leonard Williams. And Rylie Mills got a similar build. Obviously, doesn't have the production yet. You hope that he does at some point in time. Leonard Williams could be, a Hall of Famer at this point if he gets the recognition that he deserves, particularly from the 2024 season, where you guys probably know I believe he should have been an All-Pro. Quick, abrupt swim, sets it up well with the right hand, or tries to set it up well. I think the guard is aware of the fact that Rylie Mills is a swim move guy, so watch him kind of clamp down on the right arm, but Mills still makes it work. I think there's a little bit of an adaptation with Mills trying to clear his hips away from this guard and create more space than maybe you would have by default. Get to the quarterback. It's a really nice move. I think an example of how you could project him if he's able to get on the field, 20, 22, 24 times a game. This season. Didn't get many snaps last year, obviously because of the injury that he was recovering from. As an aside, I thought that Morris, number 94, played a really solid football game with all of the things they asked him to do as an edge defender, occasional usage as a 3 technique on passing downs. All right, the last play that I'll show here from a Rylie Mills standpoint to focus on him. Again, I had 6 plays queued up here, trying to keep some of these individual film study videos later in the week a little bit shorter than my content early after games when I'm reacting to it tends to be 20-25 minutes long. In any case, this is near the end of the second possession. It's a 1st and 10, and people call it one-back power. Really, it's just a long trap. The left guard is going to go to kick out Morris, the edge defender. Some of these blocking schemes here on the inside isn't necessarily how this happens. The tight end, in effect, doesn't work to the inside linebacker, Knight. I love what Rylie Mills does here. It's super intelligent. I am fascinated by these guys who know information pre-snap. I'm talking about defensive linemen. Inside linebackers, I know what they recognize, and sometimes it's formational and patterns/tendencies. In this case, watch Mills step with the right foot. And the scheme, again, is a kick by the guard. And so presumably you get a back block there Oftentimes you get a down block, combo, maybe to the backside inside linebacker, release up to the front side inside linebacker. Looks good, right? You could possibly end up with a seam that goes right here off tackle once all these offensive linemen move in this direction, okay? Right to left on our screen, or top left to bottom right. So from what Rylie Mills does completely disrupts the scheme. This is Leonard Williams-esque to a T from a footwork standpoint, from the perspective of the swim with the right arm, but also the slap with the left one. It's all perfectly synced up. Could be a Seahawks defensive lineman coach who's made this move better. Maybe he was already really good. Maybe this was an A-plus move for him in college. My suspicion is that Leonard Williams could be a part of it as well. Stepping with the right foot kind of encourages these offensive linemen to come together, and then he's really using that right foot to push off, to pressure, push to the left, get his hips clear of both of these offensive linemen. Meanwhile, you can see his left hand right there has slapped the tackle. Essentially, we're talking about a swim move, right? And he's not the guy who gets credit for the tackle here at all. The edge defender off the other side, Ivy, is he could be he should be the read man, excuse me, if the quarterback is actually reading it. The footwork is very hurried or rushed, in my opinion. The quarterback is obviously looking at Ivy. Just a really nice job by Ivy of bending back down to make first contact. From a Rylie Mills standpoint, I think he projects well to be a guy who plays somewhere between 15, 18, 20, or maybe 22 snaps a game. High energy. He was taken out of this game 2 or 3 times just in the first half after 3 or 4 plays in a row, in particular on the second drive. I don't know if he was tired or not, or if it was just a substitution pattern that Mike McDonald and his staff had pre-planned already. Looking back, I just think this was such a subtle, brilliant draft pick for the Seahawks in the 2025 NFL Draft. Of course, he was coming off an injury at Notre Dame, but you're talking about, first of all, a huge, very powerful football player from a defensive line standpoint, has some alignment versatility, 3 technique, 4-eye, maybe even some 5 technique into the boundary generally, although, the problem there is that Seattle's a base nickel defense. So normally these bigger, taller 5 technique guys into the boundary are going to be used in a base defensive structure. Oftentimes it's a 4-3. In any case, Rylie Mills, I think, projects this year as someone who can have some consistent impact. I don't know whether I'm willing to say or can say 6 sacks, 8 sacks, that type of production, in my opinion, isn't a Seattle Seahawks thing, because they play a very team-oriented style of defense, number one. Number two, some plays, some possessions, some weeks, you're the guy who's benefiting from a pick or a screen, like I showed you earlier, Jaden Ivey picking or basically KOing the center so Mills can loop around and get to the quarterback. And some weeks you're the guy who's doing the dirty work and picking or screening for someone else. Obviously, there's so many guys in front of him that are accomplished at getting to the quarterback. There's a possibility that Rylie Mills won't be on the field that often when it's an obvious passing down. What would you do, right? Would you put him out there in front of Leonard Williams, Byron Murphy, even guys further down the roster from an edge defender standpoint? Dante Fowler, extremely accomplished in terms of their career production getting to the quarterback. Nonetheless, I really like the player. I was excited to try to get some of the film of him in the preseason. In fact, I had a list of like 30 players, Ravens, Lions, Seahawks, and others, generally rookies, that I wanted to get to in the preseason, and Rylie Mills was top 10 for me. He was a guy that I was hoping, we would get to see get on the field often. 22 snaps seems about right to me. In fact, I think Morris played the same amount of snaps. For the Week 2 game, probably, Week 2 preseason game, probably won't follow up with a Rylie Mills or a Tyrese Knight video. If Morris comes out there and plays extremely well again, I would like to follow up and include some film from the Week 1 loss to the Cowboys. If you guys appreciated or enjoyed the video, please let me know in the comment section. I really appreciate any comment / like. If you're not aware, those things help promote or widen the reach of the content that we produce, and I try to take this as serious as possible. Hopefully the plays that I use to illustrate my points and the points that I made verbally to you guys come across in that manner. If you guys enjoyed the video, and if you guys think other Seahawks fans, would enjoy the video as well, please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach. Appreciate you guys' time.